This will not be your typical keynote. Why? Because I don't like to stand and talk at people. I like to talk with people. So I am stoked to share some tools with you this morning. You're also going to get an opportunity to talk to some others that is to you. More than anything, I'm going to set the tone. And I feel blessed to have that opportunity. So thanks to the entire leadership team of WLN for inviting me to come back this year and giving me an opportunity to engage and work through all of you. What wasn't in my bio, but I'll offer a few things about. I did grow up in Missoula and went to the Air Force Academy, and then from there did the 20 years in the military. Moved back in 2021 with my family. But it's still an awesome creative food and beer center, so I still like to visit, but I was not ready to move back there, and we ended up here in the local area. And so that's part of the story as I carry and kind of teach some of these things that I want to share with you all today. I'm going to tell you two primary stories, a personal story and a professional story. And that's really important to me because as I build my business, I really want to make sure that I'm only providing tools that you can use on both sides of that very force. Because our personal life and our professional life, they live together. Sometimes in balance, sometimes just in harmony, and that's okay. But I want to make sure that we can all go to their basic aspects of your life. So I want to start with that story first. Summer of 2021, I retired from the military. My husband is also retired from the military, and at the time we had two school-age kids. One that had been doing remote schooling for 6th grade and was getting ready to start 7th grade at East Valley Middle School. And then one that was a soon-to-be third grader. And we chose East Helena, quite frankly, because of the good school district. And knew we wanted to live in Montana, but also wanted to have a little bit of a country, community, smaller town feel. The Air Force had taken us to a lot of places. We lived in big cities. I was telling a story earlier. I was like, there's some places we lived where I had to warn my children that they might get kidnapped because they were blonde and healthy, right? And so recognizing and realizing that there was this significant transition. But I felt like I was a kid from Montana, so no big deal. I can roll into any community. I can make friends. I can do my thing. Well, COVID didn't about her. And so the story that came to mind for me today as I started considering what I was going to talk about was my need to connect with my new community and the challenge that I felt like I was faced with. So if you remember post-COVID, we didn't really do things in the school. We didn't go in and connect with parents. I didn't know the adults that belonged to the kids that my children talked to. I barely had opportunities to interact at sporting events because it wasn't really what people did. Neighbors were a little skittish. This was in the like to get the shot, not to get the shot phase, right? There wasn't a lot of lunch and cafes and gatherings in places like this. Luckily, there was a gentleman that we had met. And he had a wife, and she was awesome at reaching out and just going, come along, be part of these things. And as somebody who's very extroverted, and I spent my time in the career trying to make everybody else feel welcome and knowing lots of people, she invited me to her baby shower, and I have never been more scared in my entire life. Because I was driving down the street, deciding how to RSVP, and the very first thing that came to my mind was, what am I going to talk to these women? I don't know the best breakfast in town yet. I don't know where my favorite place to get coffees. I know very little about my children's academic experiences because we're brand new. Hi, my name is Kylene. I'm 42 years old and I'm retired and I have a pension. What? What do you do all day? Well, quite frankly, I go to medical appointments at the VA. Because I'm trying to fix all the things I didn't fix for 20 years. Well, do you have any friends? Yeah. All the people that I go to medical appointments with at the VA. That's who I know. They're my people, right? And I was, for the first time in my life, like faced with this fear of, I don't know that I know how to communicate, connect with women that don't do what I do for a living. And I don't know that the stories that I have of living all over the place, meeting lots of people, and deploying and going to war will resonate with anyone that I touch. I don't know what to say in between, because this is what I've done for 20 years. And so for me personally, that was the first time in my life that I felt challenged to go, communication and connection are not as easy as they've always been. And I have to be the bulldog that learns new tricks, right? Professional example for you. I was given the opportunity to walk into a job and lead as the executive in a company where my predecessor was fired for creating content. So when I walked into that job, what existed was a lack of trust. Quite frankly, in the entire space, if you were a leader, you got painted with a toxic brush. Nobody believed that what they said was reality. Nobody felt supported. Nobody felt like they could grow. We were affected by every key performance indicator that you could pull. We made money. We produced things. We turned things in on time. We got things done. But we all know that that's not what makes people work. Or to show up to the workplace every day. Or to come into work on Monday. Or to be willing to help somebody after hours. And it was heavy. And I remember walking into this job and having my boss look at me and be like, you have nowhere to go but up. And that felt heavy. Right? So heavy. On top of, congratulations, you have a 1-year-old baby. You just stopped breastfeeding. Your emotions are still a little whack. But you gotta show up for everybody else and be the best version of yourself. And you gotta rebuild trust. And you have to do it quickly. Like, how 60 days sounds. Right? This gentleman didn't create a toxic work environment in 60 days. But I had to try and fix it in 60 days. And I think what I recognized and realized in all of that is both of those scenarios, personal and professional, were going to stretch me in how I communicated with people. And most importantly, that communication was going to be my pathway to being able to connect with people inside my community, friends, neighbors, people that I thought I could help, people that I needed help from. And then once we were able to build those connections, we had to build trust. Because without that trust, we weren't going to be able to be the best version of ourselves. We were not going to succeed in everything, but knowing that we could build that trust along the way is what was helpful. So I'm going to carry those two stories throughout the entirety of our discussion this morning as an attempt to hopefully connect some of those dots for you. I also hope that as you listen to those stories, maybe you had your own personal and professional thing that came to mind. And that can be something that we'll have an opportunity to workshop today and continue to carry it through. So all of this starts with communication. And like I said, I have a little note here for you for consideration because I think communication is really raw. When I say communication, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Connection, talking, what else? Text messages. Email. What else? Social media. What else? Conflict. Somebody talking back to you? Yeah, we talk about dialect. Is that fair? I don't know. Yeah. What else comes to mind?
Conflict.
Conflict. Yes. What else? Ooh, for me, nerves, excitement, right? Non-verbals. That one shows up for me big time. I'm reading all of you right now. No pressure. Tone of voice. This is not the tone of voice I use with my children. I use it with my husband, though. Not. All right? Lots of things come to mind. I want this to be a consider card. Okay? What we're going to talk about today and some of the things I put on here are things that I think are worth considering. Some of the things that we have on here, you shine at. You're already doing. I want you to own that. I want you to own that as a tool, a strength that you have that enables you to be effective at communication, connection, and building trust. There's other things on here that you're going to feel challenged by. I want you to sit in that alone. And we get all day long to practice some of those things and try those things on in a room of women that are here to support, uplift, forgive, adapt, recover, all those things that need to happen in dialogue and discussion. So the first one is I think we need to be aware of our own personal communication preferences. So if you have to send a note to the person that you work for, maybe that's a client, maybe that's a boss, who texts? Who emails? Who stops in the office? Now here's the real question. Do you do all those things because it's what you want to do or because it's what you think that person wants you to do? Who's in that it's what you want to do? Who's in that that's what you think that person needs or wants you to do? Okay, about 50-50, both are valid. I think it's important for us to know what our communication needs, styles, preferences are. I share with you all, I'm an extroverted person. My husband says if you ever put your hands in your pockets, you can't put together a sentence. It's true. I talk with my hands. I'd love to chat. I'm very outgoing. There's absolutely no requirement to be that way to be successful. None. Zip. Zero. If you're sitting here right now and you're going, I am introverted, and I cannot talk with my hands. I don't even want to talk, period. Right? That's fine. That's okay. But knowing that about yourself and checking in and saying, these are my preferences. When you're making decisions, do you like data? Do you like to know the details? Do you like to get down in the weeds so that you can answer every question? What do you want your guy? Are you more of a feelings person? Right? When you think about accomplishing a task, do you think about the thing you have to do? Or do you think about the people you're doing it with? So what I have for you all on the back of your card is a proposal. You heard that I teach in science discovery. If you need to play the trombone, Gillespie over there. Sorry, the font is small. So in Science Discovery, we talk about communication styles being 4 different color energies. And so I have tried to capture for you all what I think could potentially be the communication style that you might be looking for today. And so I want to gauge that. Who do you want to be today? What are your communication preferences in this environment as we grow and learn with each other? Now I'm going to read from top left to right. So the one on the left is full blue if you've done Insights Discovery, but the idea is that you like to be communicated with in a logical and precise way. You enjoy conversations with depth and clarity. You like to take a moment to think before you speak. I'm not this person. I speak to think. Right? And I'd love to problem solve with you. Right? That is somebody who tends to have some introverted tendencies and makes decisions based upon that data, those thinking things that are present. On the top right, you have fiery red. Concise and compelling is the type of communication. You're energized by purposeful, fast-moving conversations. You love turning ideas into action and you enjoy helping others plan their next steps, whatever it is they're working on. That is your extroverted thinkers. I like checklists. I like the to-dos. I like to get things done and not action step way. Who is this? Right? Natasha, military helps with that, right? That really encourages us to do that. Yes. Calm and caring, lower left. I appreciate meaningful one-on-one conversations. I listen deeply and with empathy before I respond. I would love to encourage and support you. And then lower right, sunshine yellow. I like my communication to be interactive and engaging. I thrive on interaction and shared energy. I enjoy vibrant, creative conversations and would love to dream and build ideas together. To be clear, you all can do all these things. What I'm asking you to do is to think about this morning, what is the one that you would prefer others to approach you with and understand about your communication style as we move about the space together? And the best part is we change your mind today. So I gave you all 4. You have a little sticker. I'd ask you to decide which one you're feeling right now, and I would like you to add it to your name tag. And if you're like me and you want to be all the things, there's one too. All right? And they're white. So if you start the morning with one color and then you want to try on something different, put it on the top. You get to change. All right? But I would ask you all to see if you can commit to at least one and to put on your name tag. And you can put it on the outside. You don't have to turn these back in, or if you want to put it on the paper outside, you can do that. Either one works. And the idea behind this is the hardest part, even for me, who's extroverted, to come to these kind of events is to figure out how to walk up to somebody we don't know and start a conversation. And this gives us an opportunity to not only communicate to other folks, communicating in this way allows me to be my best. This is something that I think I can offer in dialogue and discussion, as well as you get a chance to try new things. I'm going to go up to somebody who is calm and caring, and I'm going to try to speak and communicate with them in a way that works for them, not what just works for me. But we have to own where our preferences are. So to get the juices flowing, what I'd like you to do is to have a partner that's sitting next to you. I would like you to talk with your partner about why you chose the one you chose. For what reasons, and how did that contribute to why you showed up today? So we may have to do a couple of things if necessary. But let's just take a few minutes to chat. And I encourage you, there's something saying next to you don't know. That person is going to help it.
I'm trying not to actually the topic feel like it's all right to let's put on the phone and I said and that now and I will like I'll emphasize the clear real if you think that you'll see there he's not what is that I can the other have so I want to know I think that but it's not fabulous so it's like really step you us and it's right step not in your place like yeah, with these guys, that usually takes me a little bit of time. Yeah, they like it. All of a sudden, my thing that was being so laughing was out. I have fast and topic berries, but I cannot think that I prefer to bring a study. Just, so that is a first search. I don't get I don't have to take it. I hate to walk at work 10 seconds. Right, my brain running up the door. Yeah. Because I would fight violence and all this. I thought that. Party or it like I did right back and this the all the fun I was hard over like oh and I looked down as you can I do I hear I thought it's me oh I guess not so now that all I did was right there but right there it's not I thought you I yeah, it's my next class. Okay, we got podcast. What's out here? It's a land burning. It's hard to have us. It's right. But once I have and you know, I heard you on I think that this was during the last, yeah, the last says that is important. That's right. I don't I just want to sound what I'm going to see how it was. Yeah, it's was. Has Tom still knows? No, so I don't like he's well, he's had me a message there. He's out. Everybody else thought if he's out, but I still against your mouth and of course it's nice and oh yeah, I think that's so many times with your we walk from the past one of my photos here with that person there and brand it I don't yeah, that's what it was. It was hard to it's your heart and the long is just never get like this. No, I said right, you have to fight with this like that's well, like do this no best course. No, the person they're not really wait. Don't think that's to find more gas. But if you want to super I like crazy hops and fox and straight you're gonna do fast and oh yeah. What's for two? He's all of a sudden, yes. I know I see this. Yeah, actually, it's been on this. Yeah, like that. Sounds that speeds up. Yes. Listen, up here. Stuff like, yeah, okay, this is. First, white seriously, I'm serious that that's because of our parents, lights up one head as well as so. Yeah, well, that's nice of you. I said, other class like us is was definitely this. It's like, you know, exactly what's running around Flores. The calls, why if they want to just touch us and have just first, we grab up your fire. That was quite a lot. I think I'll be picking up, but if you're tired, there's a good life and make those lights for a highway.
Okay. No, I've adjusted everything to so I think we're set.
It's not your
It's all good. No, we got it figured out. No, you're fine. You don't have to duck. You're good. Thank you so much.
people that help it out there. People that you had about that I didn't like spirit like we know like I don't know was a little bit all the things but every game and I think fine for her did like that I'm just all right hey and then yeah I'm curious it was pretty easy to I wish to into my office.
Why was that easy for you? Because you've done it.
Thanks for the plug.
Right? Who else thought it was easy that hasn't done it?
A lot of it easy.
I think just like right off the bat, when I saw like logical and precise, and we were kind of talking about this, like I'm a very methodical thinker, very strategic thinker. So, I do like things. I'm kind of like a scientific order. I like bringing order of chaos. So there's a lot of me that like is drawn to things kind of being in some sort of order or list or. It's just, that's my comfort zone, if you will, sometimes. But that's also just how I think. When I backwards plan, like anything, like I start with how much time do I have? When needs to go first? When needs to say my contingency when planning falls apart? Like, it's just, that's how my brain works. So, very active. I try to be precise. But then I still picked interacting with engaging. There's a part of me that can be a little bit more outgoing. I can be passionate. I can go with the flow. So, as things change, I can be a little bit more adaptive. So it's kind of a combination between those two, but for sure the first was analogical perspective.
Do you feel like you acting in that way has been reinforced and allowed you to just go further down that direction? Like, and works perfectly, I'm going to keep doing this. Has that been your life experience?
I think yes and no. I think there's areas like where that's been reinforced as being a really good positive kind of thing, and then there's times where maybe it needs to be a little bit more creative. Maybe it needs to step outside of how did we always do this, because that's still no longer working. So how did it change my thought process? Well, you're right. If it's not working, this is no longer serving a greater purpose. How do we rethink this outside of a methodical way and try to make it like, let's just come up with something completely off the wall and see try something else. So it has challenged me to also have to be more creative and maybe not so stuck in like tradition or in mythology, like this is the way we've always done it, getting out of that mindset. So it serves a purpose to a point, and then there's the part where you have to just allow them to be strong a little bit. So
Absolutely. Is there anyone that found picking one or even two chapters? Tell me more.
Well, I was talking about how being a realtor is basically you're trying to build trust in a relationship, and that's the number one thing about that job. And so I'm always constantly trying out different hats with different clients and different people that I'm meeting. And I don't really know what way I like to be communicated with, because I just am always trying to figure out, okay, what works best with this person. So I picked interactive and engaging. I don't know if that's true or not, but I guess that's
You have all Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think it's important to appreciate that we have picked some of our communication styles and preferences are based upon the education that we've had, right? The experiences that we've lived in life, and quite frankly, the environments that we've been in. So let's say you're in a very high-paced, very measurable, very task-oriented business. That may guide what those responsibilities are. Let's say that you're in law or something else that is very specific from a policy and guidance perspective. That's totally different than someone that works in the arts or very creative or the ability to connect and need to connect with lots of different people. So what I heard from you to give your story is, when I do all these things, I have the ability to do all these things. I do think it's important for us to pause, though, and own, where are we at our best? Do you like a lot of data? Do you not like a lot of data? Do you like a lot of room to dream with people to create? Or is that not as much your thing? Do you like to be rapid, quick, on out, right? Do you like to take a step back, think, pause, reflect, right? Something as basic. Like I said earlier, I'm a speak to think person. Maybe you're a think to speak person. Right? We can live together. My husband is a think to speak, right? But there's value in appreciating and understanding what will help me be at my best. And so the reason I asked you to pick one, try it on for size, is that it gives us an opportunity to interact with each other in a way that hopefully will feel accessible to you. When I can come up to you and peek and see what you chose, and then go, oh, I can dial that up. I can show up in that way to make you feel more comfortable in our communication. I also am telling you, I'm declaring, this is my preference today. This is what I think I want to be and where I want to start with. Would you be willing to meet me where I'm at? And there's a give and take there. Now in client relationships, let's be honest. Sometimes the client gets the priority, right? Because you want to close the deal. But at the end of the day, there's still aspects about how you build that interaction, how you want that communication, how you want your brand to be perceived by others that may have to do with what you're doing. And so talking to each other and connecting in pairs, what it gets to is the second point I offered to you is, I think it's important for us to be bold and asking for what it is we need. So in the environment that I was in where I was invited to go to the baby shower, newsflash, friends, I didn't go. I sent an awesome gift, but I did not go. And I thought about it for weeks. And I had the opportunity to go to coffee with this woman later, and I said, I have to be honest with you. I was so nervous and scared to go to this baby shower because I didn't know that I knew how to talk to people that were in or married to the military. And she was like, you talk to me fine. I was like, oh. Okay, let me be more clear. I didn't know what was going to be there. I didn't know what we were going to do. I didn't know if I was going to have a good stop speech, elevator speech, what I do. Right? I can do that professionally. I don't know that I was ready to do that personally yet. And so what was intimidating to me is that I was walking into a situation where I had no reconnaissance. I didn't know what was done. What were we going to eat? What were we not going to eat? Were we going to sit around? Were there going to be games? Were there not games? And I needed to own the fact that I needed to know more about the environment to feel comfortable. And all I would have had to do was pick up the phone and call her and say, Angie, I'm super nervous about coming to this baby shower. Can you tell me more about this? Can you tell me a little bit more about these ladies that have lived here their entire lives and have known each other forever and I'm the Navy? So you've been intimidated by that? Can you just with your unknown so I can ask better questions? And in a heartbeat, she would have said yes. But I wasn't bold and just going, this is what I think I need to be comfortable in this environment. And honestly, because of the way I carry myself and the interactions of her and I had, she would have never thought to give me that. And I didn't ask. Flash into my professional scenario. I'm walking into a toxic environment. Quite frankly, the individual raised his voice, degraded people, micromanaged people, didn't trust anybody to do what they were supposed to do. But I still know as the leader what I needed to be successful. I knew what I needed in email, what I needed in a meeting. I knew what I needed in stuff that was being staffed. I knew what I needed in the environments and things that were created. I'm a scheduled person. I have 14 colors on my calendar, right? And so imagine I need to walk in and be bold about this is what I need to be able to be successful in leading this team out of the hole that we're in. But I had to deliver it in a way that wasn't toxic. And let's not come back here in the corner, understands. When you walk in as tall as we are, there's a degree of intimidation that happens no matter what. So now I walk in and go, hi, this is how I like to operate. This is how my communication. This is that. I can't do that. right? Oh, look, one more. This one's female original. Right? No! But I still had to find a way to be bold. So how did I go about doing that? I sat down with my team first, my inner team, my circle. Guys, this is how I'm at my best. I don't like to make decisions on the fly. I have a squat switch. I have to be sitting to make good decisions. So don't hear people holler. Okay? Ask for time. Pull me aside. Let's go have a discussion so we feel like I dial. I want to know the facts behind the decisions you need to make. What I would love, if there's guidance on it, just slide it in the folder, right? Or attach it in the online piece coming to me so I can just read up. Go, oh, this is my role in this. Thanks for giving me the guidance. Now I can decide how I can do my communication style. But I had to build connections and I had to communicate the impact to them. This is how my brain works. I want to be able to show up like this. This is our leadership brain. This is the culture we're trying to create in the organization. And so because of that, I'm asking for these communication tips. And then I want to know what yours are too. And I want to hear how you best communicate and what you love and enjoy. And that ability to communicate backwards. And my number 2, super introverted, right? I'm up here as the concise and compelling piece out of as the calm and Karen. You would be like, I don't want to stand in front of large groups and take questions and talk to people. It's not my jam. I'm at best, but I'm what? Okay. So when we would stand up in front of the team and we would be high five, we're not going to go, do you have anything to say? Right? No, you didn't tell me I was speaking. Right? But we learned to work together and appreciate those values. And I got to see the power of both of us communicating what our preferences were. 1, helped us have a more connected relationship, but 2, model to everybody on our team. It doesn't matter if you're introvert or extrovert. It doesn't matter if you're more feelings-based or thinking-based. Like, there's room for all of you here. And there's some people that get, that means too much for me. That's not what I want to go to for advice. But they'll go, Dan is awesome. He's in that route. And he helped me grow my skills and we got to work together. So I think we have to own what our preferences are. We have to be bold in that space. And then we have to be considerate that other people may have different preferences. And that is watching, observing, learning, and most importantly, just asking. How are you at your best? If I have something good to tell you, how do you want me to do it? If I have something bad to tell you, I don't know how to do it. One of the questions I ask my teenage athlete before every single season, and I ask him before every single season, when you have a bad day or a bad game, what do you need? When you have a great day and a great game, what do you need? And I'll tell you, over the course of the last 3 years in 3 sports, his answer has changed every season. And I'm so glad I check in with him every time. But I'm basically challenging him to go be bold and tell me, what do you think you're going to need? Right? I needed to be bold and tell my friend, I need to know a little bit more about who's going to be your star. Right? And I was proud of myself for being bold in that work environment because this would allow us to get through that communication phase faster. People stopped guessing. What's the new boss going to eat? What are they going to want? How do they like this? I just had the opportunity to show them, like, this is what I know works for me. I'm willing to consider other things, but can we start here? Because I know that this is how I process. This is how I organize. This is how I communicate. And saying that out loud. So that's the communication part. I think if we own the communication element, it naturally dovetails into our ability to connect with people. Because leadership and influence and living in our community is relational at its core. And so when you look at the thing, the first word is available. I think there's a lot of discussion. I listen to podcasts, I read books, and everybody talks about the word vulnerability. How many love the word vulnerability? Like I say that word and it lights you up inside. I love you. I love that person. Right? I hear vulnerability and I go, oh. Really? So I was listening to Mel Robbins' podcast, The Let Them Theory, because I didn't read it time for the book through WLN, but I'm listening to it. And she said, sometimes I think it's more helpful to consider the word available. Be available. Available for somebody to ask you your life story. Available emotionally to consider that you're feeling a certain way about something. Available to share, communicate, discuss. available felt accessible to me. I can show up mentally, emotionally. I can show up physically. Right? The ladies over here that work at the school, you're around. You're available. I see you at athletic events. I see you in the community. I see you at lunch. You probably don't go get chicken bakes at Costco with all the teenagers, but if you could, right? Being available makes you feel accessible. It's how people connect and grab you, right? It's walking through the halls and doing different things. I was not going to make any new friends if I didn't go to events with other females in the community. I had to do something in the 2 minutes at the church where they say hi to your neighbor was not enough, right? I had to just show up, enter the arena. The way that I felt like I could be available in that workplace environment, this is not really funny, but like 2-kid bladder. I had to go to the bathroom every hour. We had 7 bathrooms in our building. My goal was to use a different bathroom every time. And that meant that I walked in a different hall. I ran into different people. I went different hours of the day. We happened to be an organization that had not just a standard 9 to 5. They show up during their hours. I bring lunch. I arrived too. I wanted to see some good videos out to. Kid was up. Wasn't sleeping well. I was up. Wanted to see what my team's doing, right? You gotta be available if you want to start to build connections. All of you chose to be here today. You're making yourself available to want to connect and get to know folks. I think we have to be balanced as well. And balanced in connection looks like a willingness to ensure that everyone feels valued and heard. And so for me, that's trying to reach people where they're at. But how many of you have been in a discussion where you're really engaging and you know a lot about that and you leave the discussion and you have this moment time where you go, told them nothing about me. Have you been there? Yeah. Or maybe you're on a professional thing or you're talking about a leadership team that's happened to me recently and we left and I could tell you everyone's life story. So I had to own the fact that I had not shared any myself. I just spent all day asking questions. I feel good. I know lots of people. Do any of them know me? No. Right? So if we want to build that connection, it has to feel balanced over time. Maybe not in the moment, right? Sometimes you're going to need to call your friend and go, I'm having a day. I need 10 minutes and I got to vent and work through this thing. And that's probably not the time to go, well, I got something back here too that I want to share with you, right? There's balance there, but understanding that over time, that relationship has to feel like there's loyalty, that you're showing up for each other in a way that's helpful. How can I show up for my friend at her baby shower? Be the person that can reach out and connect to folks. Find a way to get to know people. Walk up to the person that's in the car that doesn't know everybody as well. Well, I don't know everybody as well either. So I could have offered something in that communication that would have been helpful. In the workplace, that meant I couldn't stand as the leader and be the only one that's. I had to listen to that too. So I was really, really deliberate about targeting touch points of communication. I'm going to go around and do my bathroom jokes to talk. I'm going to hold gatherings of different pockets of people with different experiences, different functional areas, give them a chance to get together and just, what do I need to know about what you do? I need to know about what's challenging. How can I better serve you? It would have been really easy to sit behind my desk because the old head know the answer to this. It's the same everywhere I go. I do it the same way. Oh, but you start to build connection with give people a chance to tell their story. I worked with an awesome boss very early in my career. He used the big acronym. He asked everybody about their background, their interests, and their goals. It was like in 20 years of service, I've never not been able to find a way to connect with them on one of those 3 answers. Maybe you like to think the whole team of my parents. Maybe we went to the same school. Maybe we both like coffee. Whatever. But for him, it was like that tool that you would want no matter what it goes. Hey, Ryan, tell me about your background. What do you felt? And he was sharing that in that connection. I was always interested in what you like to do. Why did you decide to work here? Tell me about your family. What does family look like for you? And then your goals. where you at? What's even make you live that right now? Can I hold? It's like I can always know one person. And then walk there after people all the time. How's he know? He's all I met. Is that good? I think he has the capacity to build connection. And so I felt lucky to have that modeled. And to know that there's got to be balance. You got to give to get. You got to share at both sides of that. And then the last piece of it is the curiosity piece. I mentioned earlier, I talked about these three things, like our education, the environments we've been in, the experiences that have given us. I think if we're going to truly connect with people, we need to be curious. Curious. What makes them the same? What makes them different? What thoughts are they feeling? What emotions do they feel? What was their generational experience? We have some awesome generational spread in here. Right? What the workforce was like when my mom was in it, it's totally different than what the workforce was like us. I'm curious about her life experience. It helps me understand it. I'm curious about your life experience. I'm guessing you're in your 20s. I'm not. But I bet your life experience is amazing. And you're seeing and knowing and owning things now that we never had the opportunity to as we were older. And we get to be inspired by too. It goes both ways. So that capacity to be inspired by other people's thoughts, to ask people what they're feeling about something. I often start every discussion with people that I build relationships. Like, how you feeling today? I don't want to feel. Oh. Did an event yesterday. Half the women in the room like, I'm feeling really anxious. Whoa. Thanks for owning that. Like right up front. Because once one woman said it, the other three went, me too. But yeah. And then I got to go, okay, well, I'm a little anxious. Let me tell you what to expect. See if that can get rid of that anxiety a little bit, right? So the ability to connect is that we got to be physically present. We got to be emotionally present. We got to be willing to have balance in that dialogue and communication. And then we got to be curious. So when you find yourself judging, I don't like how that person talks. I don't like how that person carries themselves. I don't like how that person runs up. I don't like what that person's asking for. I don't like how that person makes. Or the opposite of that. I want to be this person. I love everything about what they do. I love their style. Oh, man, they're so effective. I'm so excited. Be curious about for what reasons. What allowed them to create those habits? Understand why they operated that way and why they think it works. Ask how it's been reinforced. Ask how they decided to opt up and down. Because that is where the goodness is. Right? You get to know that person. They get to talk about themselves. You get to be better at building that connection. Once we can build these connections, and it doesn't happen in a minute time, it doesn't happen in 60 days either. All right? Then you get to start building trust. Trust is the good stuff. All right? Trust is when we get the opportunity to go, oh, I think that we have alignment. And listen, you're not going to be fully aligned with everybody that's in your life. But I have found that it's better and easier to build trust if you can figure out what you are aligned on. Maybe you're aligned on your values. Maybe you work for a company where you guys have very detailed, specific values. They're called out. You live them out every day. They're on your website. You measure yourselves by them. And that's the thing you share. Okay? Maybe you share your personal values, your mores, your beliefs, whatever that looks like. And that starts to come out and you're watching each other and you go, I know at the end of the day we share that. And we have that aligned. Maybe you have similar goals. Maybe you want to grow. Maybe you want to become more efficient. Maybe you want to serve your community. Maybe you want to reach young women. Maybe you want to feel challenged to reach single moms. Who knows? Figure out what it is that you have aligned on. Because when it gets tough, you can go back to the thing that you'll share. Because when there's friction, or when connection breaks down, or when you have a breakdown in communication that results in conflict, challenge, you can go back and go, I don't have to like how they're doing it, but I can value and appreciate that we're still aligned on what we're trying to accomplish. And I can get curious about why they chose that style. And I can ask the question instead of judging based upon what or I did that before. I didn't look bulky either. You probably shouldn't do that. Okay, so I think finding what that alignment is, you just gotta talk to find alignment. Yes, actions speak. I will not deny that actions speak, but you get a lot more. You get to go deeper if you can talk people telling you. Let's look and show them Why do you serve bigger things? What impact do you have? What's the goal? One of the challenging things about coming to places like this is the first question that everyone wants to ask. Who likes the what do you do question? It's okay.
I want that.
You like it? Why do you like it?
Because it tells you a little bit about that. It's an easy icebreaker. Well, and I truly do want to know what they do.
Yeah.
So I guess it's honest. I
Okay.
really do want to know what you do.
Sure. That's fair. Is there somebody that likes a different question?
Like a question that still isn't shared with me. Do you let it away while we do it? What they
So, if we were meeting for the first time, what question would you ask to inspire that type of conversation?
what do you
I love hanging out with powerful women. Yeah, I'm a lifetime teammate. Started out as sports, then it became the military. Now I built a company around the fact that I like to connect with folks to give them tools to be successful. Yeah, there's no wrong answer. Please me.
One of my friends a couple of years ago said, what's the good news? And I had nothing. And I'm like, oh my God, I've got to reframe what I'm thinking. And so that helped me. And I love asking people that too. What's the good news? Tell me what's going on. Because I think they do get caught up in the worries of life.
Tell me about a recent memory. And it could be I washed my hair today. And I still have my I'm counting I was a win. I had 5 servings of fruits and vegetables today. Yes. Yeah, I love that. Ask the question that feels good to you. 100%. But also don't be afraid to answer the question that you want to answer. Like, what do you do? I run my own business. Well, my favorite part about that is I get to interrupt. I need to do this. Like, share that. Be willing to go there. Share.
So one of the things I'm trying to do is ask the question, what are you looking for most, today? What are you looking forward to doing today to get the conversation looking forward? Because if you ask people, how is it going? They always tend to go, what's happened in the past. So try to reframe the question and move forward to the future. Future focus.
I appreciate that. And the background questions can be fun. One of my favorite questions to ask people, when did you fall in love with Montana? Your answer may be, I'm not there yet. Not okay. Because then I get to follow it up with like, well, what brought you there? Right? When did you fall in love with Montana? I have a girlfriend of mine, she's very musical, she's really talented. She looks me in the eye and she goes, I know you're like me and you like hip hop. Tell me when. I'm like, oh, teenage athlete, rocking out my 1980 Mustang, driving to high school to practice. Yeah, I fell in love with hip hop. For sure, right? It's okay to ask fun questions too. But the idea is just get the juices flowing. Where do you want to go? And I think Carrie's example is perfect. Like, what do you think you can offer? Are you great at dreaming and scheming? Do you want to be creative with somebody? Do you want to help them from an action plan perspective? Okay, what's the next best step? Shelly and I have been working on a side hustle that she's got going on. We sit down, we have coffee together, and I'll go, okay, where are you at? What's your next best step? And she'll ask it for me in return. Okay, it's the 3rd month in a row you brought up this thing, made you feel like you're being pulled to serve. What's your next best step? Okay, I need that from her, and we do that for each other. Right? There's other days where I just need to feel good. I just need somebody to be hugged, which, by the way, free hugs all day. All right? And that's okay. But like voting and using that as that opportunity to connect and build, because that's what allows us over time to build trust. We're going to find alignment in those questions. We're going to find alignment in what we're trying to achieve. We're going to want to be somebody's champion, even if it's not going to be, what we want to carry. We'll come beside them and we'll offer friends, we'll offer network, whatever that may be. The other one, I think we got to be brave. And this one's hard, right? I love that movie's Brave. Girl, amazing red hair. I love even more than my boys love that movie. It's the yes, they'll marry strong and someday. Right? But what I love about that is we gotta be brave. And brave in this space means showing up as your authentic self, even when there's no guarantees. You're not gonna be for everyone. And that's okay. You're gonna have some clients that you're gonna work with, and you're gonna go, I'm not gonna offer them the VIP return deal. It's okay. There's plenty out there. There are lots of people that need friendship and connection. There are lots of businesses that want to do. There are lots of people that want to die and start just whatever your cause is. You're not going to tell everybody. No, not everybody sells you. And that's what always makes it easier for me, because there's like, I'm not going to work with everybody either. So I have to be open to understanding that not everybody's important. So baby showers aren't your name. Don't go do shots. Right?
Your daughter to ask you a question. What do you do with children? No. Not what. How do you reach out to someone? You don't want to know. Yeah. You're very the situation. And I tried to figure out what could happen.
That's fair. Yeah. That's fair. Okay. I'm going to answer your question in two ways. The first thing that came to mind, and I think especially in a workplace or in a relationship with a friend even, is if somebody's in a certain way, one of the challenges is to figure out how you can be most helpful. So I think there's a couple ways you can ask that question. If you don't have a lot of a tight relationship with them, sometimes I just like to lead with, I just want to check in. What do you need from me? Do you need me to hear you? Do you just need to be heard? Do you need help? Where do you need to be helped? I just need to hold space for you. Need me to give you a hug? Like 3 ages. It's that easy. And sometimes they got to think for a second. I just want to be heard. Okay. Awesome. Good to listen. If it's somebody that you have an existing relationship with, it's easy to go, oh, I know you. We connect. We know each other. I know what you normally want. But we also have to be in the right mindset framework to be open to that. And my favorite question to ask is, are you open to being influenced on this? Politics. Are you open to being influenced on this? Yeah.
I always ask before. I ask, why do you want to go?
Sure.
That's nothing. I need to ask why.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your intention?
Yeah.
What was your purpose? Yeah. And honestly, once they own that answer and declare what it is, now they're in the framework to then be able to go, am I open to being influenced? Here's what I love about the influence question. People are not always going to say yes. Right? They are not. And that, there's power in that. Right? Are you open to being influenced on this? Honestly, no, I'm not right now. And you know what I get to do as the person who asked that question? I get to go, okay. But I'm not going to waste effort and energy. I'm not going to let it degrade the trust and connection that we built in our relationship because I'm going to try and convince you what you need to do. Are you open to being influenced on the day? Are you open to being influenced on how you're talking to that person? Are you open to being influenced on other opportunities? Just, I'm open to being influenced. Not, do you want an idea? That's different. Are you open to being influenced? And then you can follow with curiosity, questions. Have you visited why you're here? Have you thought about the impact that that's having? What does that look like? My experience in that professional workplace was I had to earn a little trust through doing what I said I was going to do and repeatedly showing up in the way that I said I was going to show up before I can even get to the point where I can ask people, are you open to this? But once that relationship built and it connected and they knew that I was in it for the right reasons and I cared about creating an awesome work culture and I wanted to take good care of them, then the trust was there. And then there were times where I would do things and they would go,
what I would have done. But she has this body of work that shows that she's doing it for the right reasons and we're aligned and I know what her at her core. So I'm just going to move out and then when the opportunity presents itself, I'm going to ask for the what. Why we get there? And we lived in a world where I couldn't necessarily tell everybody everything. There's secret data and stuff that we can't always share. And there were some things in my professional career, maybe you're in the same place where you're like, I'm asking you to do this and I can't fully give you the what. But I need you to trust me. That what I can, I'll tell you. Or I need you to go show some love to this person because I know you're great at that. Well, why? Not really in a place where I can tell you why. I just know that you have what I think that person needs. Do you trust me? Yep. Over time. Right? And the reality is sometimes it's going to not go well. And you're going to have a loss of trust. Like, I like things to be turned in on time and look pretty and spell checked, haven't forget. That's my love language. Well, guess what? Sometimes it shows up and it's not that way. And it's so easy to be like, you must not care about this thing. And spell check. You must not care about me. You didn't write that text message back to me. I texted you 4 hours ago. You didn't respond. You had a meeting, you didn't invite me to the meeting. You don't care about you don't jump on me. Right? It's so easy for us to make a story. It's so easy. And the challenge becomes we have to be curious. What's behind it? What's there? Let's be honest, friends. Not everything that everybody else does around you has to do with you. It's really easy for us to think that. Like the crankiness from somebody in my household doesn't necessarily have to do with me. Sometimes it does, but not always, right? That trust comes in, hey, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to recognize that I make mistakes. I make mistakes too. One of the most powerful things my therapist ever said to me after God, the VA was like, Kylene, would you talk to someone else the way you talk to yourself? I was like, no. I'm great at talking to other people. Yeah, you're horrible talking to yourself. Fact. Right? And that was an eye-opener for me. Because at the end of the day, to build trust in ourselves, to build trust to each other, we have to be willing to understand that there's going to be compassionate moments. I know what you're trying to tell me and you're struggling to get it out there, but I can get to the root of what that is. I see that. Right? I know what your purpose and your goal is, and I want to align with you, even though it's still a little fuzzy, and I like detail, but I get a vibe, and I feel I'm just going to move back to that trust. When we can get to that place where we feel like we have the tools to communicate and connect with people, we get to start to build that trust, whatever that looks like. And that's up to you. Trust me, be a trust to build 1. It may be 10. It may be your girlfriends from college that you still stay in touch with. It might be your neighbors. You get to decide what that looks like. But my hope is that I gave you a couple of ideas on what can I do to just step into that space. How can I own what my communication style is, be willing to share with other people, and simultaneously appreciate that they may not have the same one, and I get to try new things. How can I use communication as that pathway to build the connection that will be beneficial for both of us? Because how we make a difference in the world, how we help all other women around us, how we improve our community, it's connections. It's the ability to be here today and connect with somebody new. You may not need a single thing from them. But in 24 hours, you might be somebody that does, or that has a skill set, or an opportunity to go, I bet this amazing person. This is what they do. Let me connect you with them. And then over time, you start to build trust, not only in the people that you've interacted with, but in those small relationships. And that's where we get to show up and go, that's a safe place. They're going to love me even when I make mistakes. Even when I show up as myself. There were times in that work job, friends, where I would be so emotionally degraded that I would walk into my inner circle one morning and I would be like, I'm not allowed to stop anybody. It's not my inner circle today. I do not have it. But I'm going to just own it. I was a all-night kid. I was stressed. And I didn't get crap done with it. And that is not a way to build a relationship and connection. And they would be like, okay, we'll protect.
feels hard to go to my team and go, I'm not going to surrender myself to that. And it's okay. We got you. Where's the trust? Right? And then they can do the same. They could come back to me and go, we have this kid that died and I'm really struggling providing support for him and all his friends because the kid that died is the same exact age as my kid. And I can't look at this scenario and not think of my kid. And I can't show up the other way and show up one scenario. And I'll go, awesome, get it. We'll find somebody else to step in. So that capacity to build that trust, that faith, that you can show up as you are. Juliet and I were joking earlier, like we're fully dressed. We normally see each other like leggings and tennis shoes and t-shirts, hair on fire, having coffee and lunch, with phones ringing. I was like, you look nice. You look nice too, right? That's okay. We get to be all those things and in those cool, connected, trusted relationships. None of what we're wearing, none of how we're talking has to do with what's in our heart. That's okay. We get to carry that out. And you get a chance to do that today. So I want to challenge you to meet new people. I want to challenge you to own up to and share why your communication style is what you need it to be, and ask somebody to be the person that helps you find the next best step. Or to be the person that joins with you. Or to be the person that's just going to show you some love and encouragement, because that's that. Right? That's why we're here. You showed up for a reason. It's some version of all of that. So my hope is you walk away with 2 tools, a few ideas. Did you have a card you can slide into your journal? And you can go, I'm feeling stuck. What can I consider to try and not feel stuck? Hold up. Maybe there's something on there. Maybe there's things on there that you're great at. Only that you're great at those things. They're your strength. Use them. Lead with your strengths. There's nothing wrong with that. All right? It's been so fun. I am so thankful for the opportunity to share. You all